So, as the music plays, we'd like to invite you to simply close your eyes, relax, rest in the presence, and hold space.
Ganapataye Namo Namaha. Ganapataye Namo Namaha. Ganapataye Namo Namaha. Jai Ganesha Gananatha Dayaniti Sakala Vignakara Dhura Hamare. Jai Ganesha Gananatha Dayaniti Sakala Vignakara Dhura Hamare. Ganapataye Namo Namaha. 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 Omega Dantaya Vidmahi Vakrajundaya Dhimahi Tanno Danti Prachodayat. Ganapataye Namo Namaha. 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 Jai Ganesha Gananatha Dayaniti Sakala Vignakara Dhura Hamare. Ganapataye Namo Namaha. Gam Ganapataye Namo Namaha. Jai Ganesha Gananata Dayaniti Sakala Vignya Karadura Hamari. 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 Namo Namaha. Gam Ganapataye Namo Namaha. Gam Ganapataye Namo Namaha. Gam Ganapataye Namo
Namaste.
Namaste.
Welcome to our weekly online satsang. Satsang really just means spiritual community, literally community of truth. Wherever a group of us, two or more, come together on the path of awakening and transformation and share our journeys with each other, that's a satsang. And by coming together like this, we are strengthened exponentially. And the good thing about the internet is we're able to connect with people across the ocean and other continents and places that would be normally inaccessible or very difficult for us to come together, and we can do this whenever we choose, as long as the electricity keeps running and the internet's still up there. And then, if that stopped happening, we'd just do it in our hearts, wouldn't we? Because we're that connected. We hold a powerful intention that when we come together in these satsangs, that the field of presence that is generated by our coming together will dissolve the veil of duality, and we will all together experience oneness with the divine, oneness with each other, and with all that is. So welcome. We share during these satsangs the flowering heart blessing. Right now, it's flowing to you. It's a direct transmission of divine presence, divine consciousness, a gift from the divine source itself to catalyze awakening in the receiver. If you're already awakened, it will take you deeper. It will dissolve obstacles on the journey and make it smoother. When the divine shared with us the flowering heart blessing, Hridaya, Vikasa, Diksha, about 8 years ago, said, start sharing this one and tell people it's not coming from you. It doesn't belong to you. It belongs to me, the divine. And I give it to whomever I will. It doesn't come through an avatar or a master or a saint or a particular hierarchy or organization. Of course, it could flow through all those things. But the divine's saying, it flows through me unmediated by any human agency or any entity between you and me. And it's a gift of grace, so don't charge for it. Give it to people freely and tell them that if they want to share this blessing, once they've received it, and you're receiving it right now, you're initiated to be able to pass it on. Just invite the divine to pour the flowering heart blessing through you. You can do it at a distance with anyone in prayer or meditation. In person, up close, through touch, you need to get the informed consent of the recipient, because it's really going to change them. And you just lightly lay your hands on their head, invite the divine to come through you, just silently. You don't need to pray, visualize, do anything like that, use a mantra. All that just gets in the way with this one. You just get out of the way and the divine comes through. If you want to know more about it, there's a lot of information about blessing and the flowering heart blessing and the path of awakening and divine realization on our website at floweringheart.org. The world is the world. Kind of a mess these days, from geopolitics to the environment. We really need to shift on this planet. And it's in the hands of humanity. We've been given a special role as caretakers of the earth. And I don't think we've done a very good job, but I'd have to say we've done as well as we could do in our current state of consciousness. The solution is to awaken into higher and higher states of consciousness. As that happens, our hearts begin to flower with unconditional love and compassion. And the nightmare world of competition, conflict, and war will give way to a new earth rooted in cooperation, harmony, and peace. The outer world's a reflection of our inner state, so as we begin to shift and awaken, that's reflected in nature. It's reflected in everything in the outer world. For the kind of shift we need on this planet to take place, it's going to require more than individuals awakening. The collective consciousness of humanity needs to shift from duality into oneness. And that does happen one person at a time. So thank you for consenting to the journey of awakening and being part of the answer. We open these satsangs to questions and answers about the spiritual journey, about meditation, past lives, future lives, what is awakening, God realization, divine union. There's so many questions that come up along the way where we would like more clarity, more insight. Often there are a lot of wonderful ancient traditional teachings, but there are also a lot of faulty teachings, like the ones that say that there's a great distance or separation between us and the divine, and we have to somehow work out our karma, we have to become pure enough and holy enough that the divine will pull back that veil. No. The veil is the construct of our mind. And there's never been any distance from the divine. But there are a lot of little seeds of wrong thinking and wrong teaching that have found their way into many of our spiritual traditions. And this is a time where we really need to awaken beyond the mind and see things clearly as they are. So, if you have any questions, you'd like insight, clarity, type it in the chat, either at Facebook Live or Vimeo, and we will happily, I was going to say attempt to answer them, but the divine always gives us answers.
Yeah.
I'm not saying the answer, but more light, more clarity on things. And you know, we may have had some light and some clarity on certain ideas for years. But as we continue to awaken at deeper and deeper levels, we're able to see these ideas from a much deeper and clearer perspective. So revisiting old questions isn't a bad idea either.
It's kind of fun. Sometimes I like to go back and reread old books or watch older movies and look at how my perception of that movie has changed because I've changed, and it's really fun. It's a fun exercise.
So while I pause to give you a chance to check in your hearts and listen to that still small voice saying, why don't you ask about this? So listen on the inside, be part of the process. Or just sit there and soak it up, that's fine too. But while I'm giving people a chance to do that, we take some inspiring quotes from a website called inspiringquotes.com. And various authors do little articles of 2 or 3 paragraphs and then a collection of quotes from famous, influential, ancient people, philosophers, spiritual teachers that illustrate the idea. Tonight, we're going to see 17 reasons to always stay curious. And the author of tonight's article is Tony Donnell, an English writer of nonfiction and fiction living on the edge of the Amazon jungle. I've used a lot of his articles.
Yeah.
I like Tony, and I love the Amazon. Talk about living on the edge of something. Amazing place. So Tony writes this: curiosity isn't always seen in a positive light, in part due to its association with prying into other people's business. In other words, nosiness. Perhaps that's why English poet Lord Byron wrote, quote, "I loathe that low vice, curiosity," in his epic poem Don Juan. And of course, we all know that curiosity killed the cat. Although not so many people know that the original form of that common idiom was actually care killed the cat. Care in this instance meaning worry or excessive caution. Perhaps after all, it is wise to be a little careful with our curiosity. As Albus Dumbledore explained to Harry Potter, curiosity is not a sin, but we should exercise caution with our curiosity. Unquote. But without our drive to learn, the human race wouldn't have gotten very far. We wouldn't have progressed in philosophy or science and never have asked, who are we? Or sent humans to the moon. Curiosity drives us forward and helps us learn something that many famous figures have clearly stated, from Walt Disney to Albert Einstein. So here's our first quote. Well, we already heard from Lord Byron and Dumbledore. Curiosity is, in great and generous minds, the first passion and the last, and perhaps always predominates in proportion to the strength of the contemplative faculties. Samuel Johnson. We were lucky enough to grow up in an environment where there was always much encouragement to children to pursue intellectual interests, to investigate what aroused curiosity. In a different kind of environment, our curiosity might have been nipped long before it could have borne fruit. Orville Wright, of the Wright brothers. I have no special talents. I am only passionately curious. Albert Einstein. I think at a child's birth, if a mother could ask a fairy godmother to endow it with the most useful gift, that gift would be curiosity. Eleanor Roosevelt. There's really no secret about our approach. We keep moving forward, opening up new doors and doing new things because we're curious. And curiosity keeps leading us down new paths. We're always exploring and experimenting. Walt Disney. Curiosity is the wick in the candle of learning. William Arthur Ward. Perhaps one day, men will no longer be interested in the unknown, no longer tantalized by mystery. This is possible. But when man loses his curiosity, one feels he will have lost most of the other things that make him human. Arthur C. Clarke. Millions saw the apple fall, but Newton was the only one who asked why. Bernard Baruch. Children, be curious. Nothing is worse, I know it, than when curiosity stops. Nothing is more repressive than the repression of curiosity. Curiosity begets love. It weds us to the world. It's part of our perverse madcap love for this impossible planet we inhabit. People die when curiosity goes. Graham Swift. Remember to look up at the stars and not down at your feet. Try to make sense of what you see and wonder about what makes the universe exist. Be curious. Stephen Hawking. Curiosity is the essence of human existence. Who are we? Where are we? What do we come from? Where are we going? Was there life on Mars? Is Mars like Earth is going to look in 1 billion years? Are we what Mars looked like 1 billion years ago? I don't know. I don't have any answers to those questions. I don't know what's over there and around the corner, but I want to find out. Gene Cernan. Let's just say I was testing the bounds of reality. I was curious to see what would happen. That's all it was, just curiosity. Jim Morrison. The only reason people do not know much is because they do not care to know. They are incurious. Incuriosity is the oddest and most foolish failing there is. Stephen Fry. Socrates told us, quote, "The unexamined life is not worth living," unquote. I think he's calling for curiosity more than knowledge. In every human society, at all times and at all levels, the curious are at the leading edge. Roger Ebert. The second principle that drives human life flourishing is curiosity. If you can light the spark of curiosity in a child, they will learn without any further assistance very often. Children are natural learners. It's a real achievement to put that particular ability out or to stifle it. Curiosity is the engine of achievement. Ken Robinson. Curiosity will conquer fear, even more than bravery will. James Stevens. I think I benefited from being equal parts ambitious and curious. And of the two, curiosity has served me best. Michael J. Fox.
That's beautiful. That whole thing and talking about children so much for like the last 14, 15 months, we've had our granddaughter over here in the afternoons, and she's, I think, 20 months old now, so most of her, early time on this planet, and that's all that I do with her. I just, we just go out. Before, when she was little and couldn't walk, I would take walks, and I would watch her watching things, and it was so fascinating because it allowed me to slow down and see through the eyes of a baby. And we would walk by the air conditioner, and it would kick on, and the leaves would sparkle from the tree that was above it, and she would sit there, we'd both, for 5 minutes, just stare at the dancing sparkles on the leaves. And then as she got older and started walking, she would stop and pick up an acorn seed and just really look at it, or a palm seed, or a rock, And it's just that we just kind of walk around quietly, and I'll talk or explain things to her, like that's an acorn, that's a seed, and I would talk to her. But most of it, we would just walk around in silence and marvel at every little tiny thing that caught her eye. It's been really fun. She starts daycare next week, so. Well, I'm savoring every moment this week.
Yep.
Yeah. It was such a special gift for me, though, to have that time with her, because it reminded me to slow down and don't just go, oh, that's a plant. Oh, that's a chair. Oh, that's you'd go sit down in it and feel what that chair feels like and be in tune with the experience of the chair, instead of just going, it's a chair. It takes a lot of fun out of adulthood when you grow up and you just go, oh, that's just a chair.
I almost read an article with a series of quotes on empathy, and which prompted me to look up the difference between sympathy and empathy. And man, one of the dictionaries, I won't mention them by name, really had it backwards. Because sympathy, pathos is feeling. So sympathy is feeling, well, it ends up being feeling sorry for someone, imagining what they must be going through. I have real sympathy for that. But empathy is, M means to get inside, to penetrate. So empathy is to actually enter into the feelings of another person and feel with them what they're feeling, not imagining. Sympathizing with them can sometimes have a note of pity in it. But empathy is that compassion that is vulnerable and open enough to actually feel the other's feelings. And that's what Suzanne's been journeying through with our granddaughter for these last months. It's been so beautiful.
It's been really beautiful. She's really into textures too. So when I was just mentioning the chairs, I was looking around the room, and she would go to the leather sofa and feel the texture of it, and then the tapestry or the upholstery and the pillows and, the different textures. And we don't do that anymore. I don't walk into a room and go, ooh, I want to feel this fabric, and then I want to feel that fabric, and then...
Oh, we do it every day at the beach at sunset.
True.
We feel the sand, the water between our toes, and we're drinking in the colors.
Colors.
And sharing with each other and with the other people that watch sunset with us, including our 94-year-old friend Sam. We're looking in the clouds and we're seeing bunny
Shapes.
rabbits and dragons and witches on broomsticks. And it's amazing how us old folks have
Slow
got
down
the
enough.
imagination that we had as children going in the sky again.
That's true.
So
That's very true.
don't sell us short.
Okay.
So More asks, and it's the elephant in the room, right? She says, what can we say about everything we've seen since last week? All the emotions have been coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes the best thing we can say is silence. But
Intense prayer. We can really, talk to the collective and to the divine presence and just make our prayers known and hold the space for peace.
I mean, we're facing a very difficult moment and a critical time in human history right now with many things are happening all over the world. So I suppose we could point the finger at the Middle East and the issue between Israel and Gaza, which is just horrific. It's horrific. But there have been like 4 major earthquakes in Afghanistan in the last week. And while all eyes have been on the Holy Land and what's been going on there, and sure, mine have too, we've almost missed that more people have died in Afghanistan in the last week than in the conflict between Israel and Gaza. And that's nature rumbling. There's a lot going on the planet right now. And we don't like change, but especially cataclysmic change that shakes up the calm, stable infrastructure of the planet that we're counting on. So, difficult times, but it is part of the birthing process. I mean, I imagine things don't just, unless you're very experienced giving birth, that the first time you experience giving birth, everything doesn't feel just hunky-dory. There's pain, there's travail, there's groaning. And the earth is going through travail. And many old structures need to be shed, and some of these go way, way back. I mean, the issues in the Middle East go back to Abraham, Isaac, Hagar, and Ishmael. Abraham had 2 sons, Isaac and Ishmael. He had Ishmael first, actually. Ishmael was Abraham's first son, and he was born to Abraham's servant, actually Abraham's wife Sarah's servant, Hagar. And after he was born, Sarah got very jealous because they'd been trying to have children for forever. She's 90 and Abraham's 100, and she gives him her maid, and she gives birth to Ishmael. And she was so jealous that she got Abraham to send them out in the desert without food and water to die. So that then her son, Isaac, became like the one who would be the inheritor. Well, the story goes that the divine watched all of this. And the divine blessed Sarah to have Isaac. So all that but he didn't tell Abraham to send Hagar and Ishmael out into the desert to die. So he sent an angel who protected them and took care of them, and they received word from the Lord that God would bless them and that none of their enemies would ever be able to conquer them. And that was the patriarch from which the Arab people come, through whom come a lot of the people, certainly Muhammad and the other early Muslims, although Islam covers, all different races all over the world now. But so there was this bad feeling that Ishmael was mistreated. And he was. And he became a great nation, the Arab nation, never to be conquered under divine protection. However, the other side, Isaac, was also given a promise that none of their enemies would ever be able to conquer them, that they were invincible because God would protect them. So now both of these people have the guarantee of divine protection and invincibility, and who do you think become enemies for so much of human history after that point? It goes so far back, and somewhere the cycle has to be broken. There's a story that I haven't shared much, but we used to be involved with a consciousness movement called Oneness. And one of the people involved with it, one Tony Robbins, some of you may have heard of, brought a group of young people, I think they were in their 20s, maybe some of them were in their late teens, from the Middle East. And the group that he brought to go through a special process was half Palestinian and half Israeli. And all these kids had family members whose lives had been lost in these conflicts over the years and had this history. So when they arrived together to this process, they had to be restrained. I mean, there was like violence was going to break out between these two sides. I think it was a week. I don't know how long the process was now. It's been years. I don't remember. But by the end of that week or that process they were taken through at Oneness, they were all in love with each other, hugging each other. They'd forgiven, and they saw that the only way out of the injustice and the pain and the cruelty was forgiveness, radical forgiveness and compassion and love. And they went back home with a mission in their hearts to share this newfound unity between them. And Oneness used to do the same thing with indigenous tribal elders. The indigenous Native American tribes have been put through so much in the history of America, North and South and Central. It's just been hideous. So they wanted to try to bring healing to the leaders, the tribal leaders of some of these tribes throughout the United States, who were living in such brokenness and poverty in many cases. And without getting into all the injustices and the genocide perpetrated against those people over the centuries, they brought them to India to put them through this process, only to find out that a lot of them hated each other. There were blood feuds that went back before the white man.
Right.
Where one tribe had perpetrated just brutal violence against another tribe, and an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. So it was repaid in kind. And there were these blood feuds, these hurts, really, intergenerational brutality and wounds that these tribal leaders were carrying generation after generation after generation. So the Oneness University very wisely started with healing the relationships before they could hope to heal them and their people of the pain and so many things they'd been through. The first thing to do was to heal the relationships between the tribes themselves. And I think very similarly, that's what needs to happen in the Middle East. And in microcosm, we saw that successful process that Tony Robbins was instrumental in catalyzing, and we just need it to happen in a huge way.
Yeah.
Because those are not the only, I mean, you know, in Africa, some of the barbaric war that continues to rage in Africa also goes back generations to ancient times, where a lot of the people don't even remember what it was. All we know is it's in my genes to hate you. And we've got to try to take each other out.
It's not even so much genes, it's just upbringing. You know, if your parents pass it on to you, you're going to pass it on to your kids, and so on and so on. It's intergenerational.
So John says it's nothing new, it's all happened before. Well, that may be true, but there are a lot of people, John, who have never seen this before. We're a bit older than some. For a lot of our kids, they've never seen this. They didn't go through the Vietnam War or Korea or World War II or a lot of the things that some of us ancients have seen and know a lot about. And it's true, it's nothing new, and part of the problem is that history just continues to repeat.
Right.
We must, well, as Einstein himself said, you cannot fix a problem in the same state of consciousness in which you created it. The problems we see were created at a very low, divisive, dual state of consciousness, a state of separation and alienation rooted in ego and fear and violence. And that goes back beyond recorded history.
Right.
So it's nothing new, but breaking that cycle through unconditional love, that is something new. It's certainly what Christ pointed to 2,000 years ago, but it seems like even so many members of the Christian tradition still don't seem to get it. If somebody hits you on one cheek, turn to them the other. There is a time to stand up to injustice. We talked about this in the last few weeks. But from a place of selfless acceptance and compassion. So that's what we need. Ekaterina says, I still have doubts about if some parts of our lives are already written. Because I feel so with my son and the father of my son, and have been an actress, etc. Well, you've heard me say before, I don't think our lives are already written, because then this would be futile. It just really would. Because then we're here for one of two reasons. Well, one reason, karma. So if we got a lot of good karma, maybe we incarnated to get all the rewards of what we did before. I don't think that's a reason to be here. And if we're here to work out negative karma, well, then, then that's like thinking we're here just to be punished for what we did in the past, which we're not. We're here to creatively engage the present moment, to accept what is with unconditional love and be at peace, to accept what is and to pour our energy into dynamically co-creating a new future, filled with light, filled with hope, filled with peace, filled with love. That's what we're here for.
I had my birthday last week, and I always contemplate, at least the last year around the time of my birthday. And this year I was contemplating my life and the decisions that I've made. And I looked at Michael one night and I said, if you had asked me at 20 or 21 that how I imagined things, or the trajectory of my life, or how I figured it would go, there is no way I could have come up with this life. Our son just bought a school bus that he's renovating to make into a tiny home. So we have a school bus parked in our backyard. And I was looking around.
A real yellow school bus.
A real yellow school bus. So I was looking around going, wow, I met the love of my life. And after going through many relationships, and I've got 4 amazing kids, and 2 of them were pretty much adopted from South America, and to a natural birth and literally home birth. I've just had such a crazy life, and I look around to where I stopped and thought about it. It's like if I hadn't made that decision, it would have led to a different outcome. So all of our decisions, that's the other reason why it's so important to continue to grow, because as we grow, we make more heartfelt, more informed decisions from the divine connection, instead of going, oh, I want this, or I think I should do this, or I think that, this was fate for me to do this. The more that we can let go and surrender to the divine will, the more things just kind of help you get into balance with your soul's highest what word am I looking for? With your soul's highest
Resonance?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, if I hadn't decided to get together with my ex in my early 20s, I wouldn't have the life that I have now. And then deciding to move down here from Oregon, I never would have met Michael. I mean, it's just, you know, it's like one of those games where you drop a ball and it hits all of these nails and it ends up in a random slot down at the bottom. That's kind of how I see it.
See, God said at one point in Scripture, "Behold, I place before you life and death. Choose life." Tells us what to choose, but gives us the freedom. The only place where I read about predestination is in Romans chapter 8, where it says, "Those whom God foreknew." He knew us in advance because God can see the future, and He knows those of us that are going to choose to turn into the light. Those whom God knew in advance, He predestinated to be conformed, transformed into the image of the Christ. So there's a predestination, but it's based on the choices you're going to make of your own free will.
Yeah.
If the future is already written in stone, check out. There's just no point. There's just no point, you know? Okay. So, John writes, "I saw an older interview with Joseph Campbell and Bill Moyers. Mr. Campbell said, 'Some think we need a purpose, but that's not it. It's experiencing life.'"
Beautiful.
Nicely said.
Yeah.
So,
Anything on Vimeo before we move on?
nope.
Okay.
I forgot to ask, though, whoever drops in either tonight or watching this video recording at any point in the future, if you're on Facebook Live, please give us a thumbs up or a heart so that we know you were here and we can send you hugs and special blessings at the end. Unless, of course, if you wrote something in the chat like John or Ekaterina or More, we know they were here.
Right.
So, but there are some others of you that we don't. And especially the people that tune in and watch these between Monday night and the next Monday. They're like bunches, many, many times the number. With different schedules, they drop in when they feel like it, and they give us likes and loves and sometimes leave comments. So we kind of have a sense of the community that we're reaching. It means a lot to us. So you could go ahead and close your eyes and dive into your spiritual heart and invoke the presence. You are immersed in the infinite ocean of divine love and light, divine presence. You are a manifestation of the divine presence itself. There's no distance between you and divine source at all. It is within you. And so, open yourself and begin to drink in, breathe in divine grace as it pours out to you through the flowering heart blessing. Whatever pain you're carrying, whatever worry, whatever concern, wait for yourself, for others, for the Middle East, just release it to the divine presence. It is infinitely wise, infinitely powerful, unconditionally loving. Knows exactly what needs to be done. So release the weight of your burden into the hands of the divine. And just soak in, drink in the light that's pouring out to you now. The divine wants to illuminate your spirit, inspire and clear, restructure your mind and your emotions and your feelings. Wants to heal your physical body of disease, suffering and pain. Shine out into your relationships to set them right and bring healing. Shine through your life out into the world to help bring transformation. Just consent, allow, relax, receive. Now I'd like you to imagine. Keep your eyes closed. We're sitting in a circle together. Lift up your hands with your palms open, facing forward, and let us all invite the Divine Presence to pour through us the flowering heart blessing. And let us visualize in the center of our circle the planet Earth, and let us focus on the Holy Land. And let us take a strong intention of peace and healing for all the people dwelling in the Middle East, particularly Israel and Gaza. Lord, we ask you to send legions of angels to protect the innocent, the elderly, children, mothers. You make war to cease to the end of the earth. You break the bow, you snap the spear, you burn the chariots in fire and bring war to an end. Peace, peace, peace. We take a strong intention for peace on earth, especially in the Middle East. May the pain and the hurt unimaginable be healed. The fires of hatred and anger and violence, may they be quenched by the waters of love and light and peace. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Now you can relax your hands, rest them in your lap. When you're ready, open your eyes and begin to make direct eye contact with Suzanne and or me. Just make sure you keep looking at least one of our eyes. Just keep looking. As we dive into the light meditation, Suzanne and I are flooded with oceans of grace and light and love pouring out to you, especially through our eyes, the doorways of the soul. Nothing to do but just keep looking and receive. You can close your eyes now. Meditate with us a few more minutes as the grace we've received settles within. Now keep meditating as long as you like, or lie down nearby in Shavasana. That's a yoga pose where you lie comfortably on your back with your eyes closed and your arms loosely at your sides with your palms open, turned upward. And just let yourself dissolve in the presence with gratitude. We love you very much.
Much love, light, and blessings.
Until we cross paths next, know that the divine in us beholds the divine within you, and we bow to you. Namaste.